good trip.
Yeah, really
I'd like to
really
do
fun.
that.
Can't wait. Anyways, what were we talking about? Oh, wing names, because this Kings rebuild that's gonna. I don't even. What are we calling it?
You have to
Retool, a
retool?
rebuild, a reset. Because they're like
maybe?
because they're picking a new, different maybe direction.
I think we have to figure out what they do.
It's a good point, actually.
Because as of right now, like I don't know.
All right, this Kings off season.
Yeah,
this Kings roster management.
Yeah, like I think we're gonna learn a lot, like really quickly. But like the Kings have to decide whether they are a team that is just going to play out this string with this group of players, and somewhere in the next 12 months, Domantas Sabonis will ask out, or if they're a team that's going to build, if they're a team that's going to let like the contracts of DeRozan and Levine expire in 1 and 2 years. And so then that way you get like a true roster reset where you can start building things again. Because as much as it is about draft picks and stuff like that, the Kings have put themselves in a situation where they're not a salary cap team, where they're not a team that can go out and sign true free agents outside of like a mid-level exception at $14 million. So that's an awkward position to be in as well. It's not just about, hey, how many draft picks do you have? So you have to decide. You've got 9 draft picks over the next 7 years once you hit July 1st. Is that part of what you're going out and shopping with? Or are you looking at that and saying, we have 9 now, but I would prefer to have 12. And let's see if we can front load. So, got an extra pick in 26, an extra pick in 27, another pick in 27, and an extra pick in 28. And then maybe we get lucky and move up in the lottery. Like that's your team that has to decide that right now. Like, I think
we don't have a name for it yet. But whatever the Kings are going to do to their roster this offseason, they're not fixing it in 1 year. Whether they tear it down or decide, hey, we can Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine and Keegan Murray is the core that we're going to try and open a 4-year window with, or whatever it is, and then go from there. That 4-year window is not going to start until, if they do everything right, it's probably not starting until next season after the upcoming one.
Yeah.
Like where we feel really good about, like, oh man, they've made all the right move, they pushed all the right buttons, and here they are.
Well, yeah, but we say that, and then weird things happen.
Weird things do happen, no doubt. But in outside of, oh wow, they made this trade for, they brought in Cam Johnson and Giannis and didn't give up Zach LaVine or Domas, and oh my God, watch out for the Kings. Like, okay, like maybe,
yeah.
But I think in the realm of I don't want to say reality, because what you said is reality, but in the realm of like, okay, let's not be crazy for a second. It's just going to be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not going to take out the possibility of some crazy haymaker that everyone's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe the Kings just did that. And then they do it again. And you're like, oh,
sure.
Okay, now you're cooking.
Sure.
Like, there is a possibility.
What? An example, please.
There's a possibility. Like, let's say the Kings do something crazy, like they trade Zach LaVine and 3 first-round picks for Ja Morant.
Okay.
And now you're like, oh, all right, now what happens? And then let's say they get done with that deal, and now your backcourt looks more balanced because you've got Malik Monk and you've got Keon Ellis and Devin Carter. You still need a backup point guard, stuff like that. Let's say you turn around, you trade DeMar DeRozan, and you come away with, again, you give up a first-round pick, and you come away with Cam Johnson. And then you go out in free agency, because, again, you can work these deals that I'm talking about are net neutral in salary cap. They're going to cost you first-round picks.
Sure.
So now your 4 first-round picks out of your 9 are gone, right? But then you go out and you add a Dorian Finney-Smith in free agency. You make a move.
If he opts out.
Yeah, if he opts out. You make a move to trade for a Naz Reid or something. And all of a sudden the Kings go boom, 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 boom. And they build the thing out. And so there's always that weird possibility that those things happen. Now, all of that's pie in the sky.
Sure.
Right. But there is pathways or there's potential pathways.
Okay.
And I would tell you this, like the Kings have the 27 San Antonio Spurs unprotected first round pick. There is no guarantee that San Antonio Spurs are good by 2027. Realistically, they have the 2031 unprotected first round pick of the Minnesota Timberwolves. So in addition to that, all of their picks are once again looking like some of the most valuable picks in the draft, like they always have. The Kings are always in this situation.
Right.
Where people are like, man, I would love to get a couple of Kings first round
For
picks
sure.
because those guys aren't going to be very good.
For sure.
So there's a potential for that. So we're not just talking about 9 first round picks. 8 of them are full-fledged. You could go unprotected first round picks.
So what you're saying is if the Kings don't have a big offseason, then it's ineptitude from the front office.
No,
that's what I'm hearing.
No, because you have to decide who you are.
Sure.
And again, if I'm the Kings, I could go. I could see this thing playing out 2 ways, where you're like, okay, we got DeRozan for 1 more year. Let's just hold on to him, and we'll bite the bullet on the final year. That we'll just pay him the $10 million. But when the salary cap at that point is going to be $185 million, it's like, okay, who cares about $10 million that you're flushing out for 1 season?
Sure.
And then you've got 1 season left as Zach LaVine, and you're telling people, hey, like, look, we got a $49 million expiring contract. Who wants in? Maybe you do your reset then. The problem that you have is this Sabonis situation that, like, Domas is not just going to say, hey, I'll forego the next 2 years of who I am as a player in order for you guys to just be bad. And I'm going to have to be the one who's stuck holding the bag. You're going to put me out on the billboard. You're going to run me around town like I'm Brock Purdy. and
King social team needs to get working on those IG posts.
Yeah. And I don't have Brandon Ayuk or Tebow Samuel to throw to anymore. That's what he doesn't have De'Aaron Fox or Levine or like whatever.
Right.
Like it would be really, really tough. So like there are a lot of ways they can go here.
If Sabonis asks out, that I think chooses their path for them.
Yeah.
Like that would be because you're probably not getting like really awesome players back in that deal. It's probably salary filler and picks.
Yeah, you have to decide
where it kind of.
You have to decide who you are right now.
Yeah,
because the Sabonis thing, it's hanging out there, but it's like, do you try to build the team he's asking for, or do you realize that there's no way to build that team?
Yeah, and
just go in reverse.
I see a couple of things in the chatty house, and that's James Ham, Kyle Madsen, Joe Brazil, our producers from the home studio. We're sponsored by Jiffy Lube. This is the Insiders on ESPN 1320. D'Lo and KC coming up in 28 minutes. I see 2 different Blazers related things in the chatty house, so I'm going to go back to a little bit of a conversation we had yesterday. Russ Dog says Portland should send Anthony Simons to Sacramento, and Aldrin J says Sabonis for Shaedon Sharpe and salary filler. From what I understand in talking to somebody in Portland is not interested in moving off of players right now. They like the direction they're going. They're not. Apparently, I didn't look up to confirm this. Apparently, their books are clear in 2 years.
Well,
like they have.
They'll tell you that, but I mean, Jeremy Grant's contract's still sitting there.
Sure. So it might have been 3 years.
Yeah.
It might have been 2 years after. It doesn't matter. Anyways, they like the direction they're heading, and they're not looking to get off of Anthony Simons or Shaedon Sharpe, at least not yet. Going into this year. And then I asked about Tamani Kamara because we talked about him a little bit yesterday.
Yep.
And apparently that DeAndre Ayton trade that happened that Tamani Kamara was involved in only happened because Tamani Kamara was involved in it. Where the Blazers were like, hey, we need him. That guy needs to be involved in the deal or we're not doing it. And then he was all defense this year. He started figuring it out offensively. And I was told that he's the kind of player who, like, there's 4 guys in the league they would move him for.
Yeah.
So anyone interesting on the Blazers is just not available, apparently.
I'll tell you this, too. They have their assistant general managers, Mike Schmitz, who used to run.
Wasn't he on ESPN?
Well, yeah, for years, it was him and Jonathan Gavoni on Draft Express, and then they moved over to ESPN together.
Right.
When ESPN purchased the product. And then Mike Schmidt literally ran around the world seeing every prospect in every location that you could possibly imagine. That dude has been in so many different countries, scouting and watching prospects. That's what he did for a job forever. So when you look at guys like Scoot Henderson or Donovan Klingdom or Shaden Sharp, or they go out and they trade for Denny Avia, or they, again, the Kamara move, right? Like all of these things. These are calculated moves by one of the true draft experts in the game.
Yeah.
Like this is a dude who not only did he go and see players in Italy or in Australia, but he interviewed them and he sat down and he spent the time to get to know players. And it's such a that's who if you're going to go this route, that's what I would do. I would go get somebody that has that kind of knowledge, and he has knowledge of that for like the last 15 years, not just like he's a draft guy, who posts drafts on the internet. Like there's so much value in having a guy in your front office like that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because not only do you know those guys via the draft, but those randos that are sitting on the end of somebody's bench or sitting on two-way contracts with somebody or in the G League.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you know what? That guy's way better than whatever. So we talked about with Aaron Nesmith yesterday.
Yeah.
The Pacers knew what kind of offense he ran in college and was like, hey, he can't fit in Boston. We think he'd be a better fit here. We think we can maximize what he's doing. Let's make sure to get him in our building.
Yep. And in the meantime, he developed into a really strong defender.
When all of this stuff, by the way, goes back to the Kings, because this is what they need to be doing. This is the big trades are there. The big signings are there. But then can you find those couple diamonds in the rough? Can you find a Keon Ellis type who's 6'7"?
Yeah.
Can you find an Aaron Nesmith that's on or Tumani Kamara who's on the end of somebody's bench who's not getting an opportunity somewhere, who, you know what? Hey, he would fit really good next to Domantas Sabonis and Zach LaVine and Keegan Murray. Let's get him in our building and see if we can maximize.
Yeah.
Like that's what it's going to be, man.
Yeah, tough. I'm really intrigued to see how they build it, and that's why, again, like I think Scott Perry's a really smart hire, but you have to support him the right way. Like BJ Armstrong, smart hire. He knows a lot of players. He knows a lot of people.
Sure,
he's been in the business